Welcome to the Intuitive Health Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Anthony Rafferty, medical doctor, PhD, Reiki, and shaman intuitive healer. I'm here to bring you on a journey of holistic healing that explores the science of the physical body combined with mental and emotional well-being, energetic and spiritual health. And I am so excited to welcome you today to episode number 4. I can't believe we're at episode number 4 already. Time is whizzing by. And I just really wanted to get into the nitty gritty of all of the things I feel in my sessions make the biggest impact for people moving forward. And I talk a lot about the physical body. It's so interesting. I find the physical body fascinating. I love medicine. I love physiology. I love how the whole thing works. But that is only one element of who we are. We also have a mental body. We have an emotional body. We have our energetic bodies and our spiritual body. And I really wanted to touch base on what the energetic body is today, because that will inform some of the discussions moving forward about how energy moves through the body and when things go wrong within the energetic system, how we end up with physical disease. So let's get into the nitty gritty of it. So we all are energetic beings. We are surrounded by everything that is energetic. Everything is energy. And when I went through my medical training, when I went through academia, do my PhD and all of these things, I lived so heavily in my head, in the logical mind, that I was quite disconnected from the concept of energy. Though actually, when I think back to my childhood, I was a very energetically sensitive little boy. I was very sensitive and I was hyper vigilant to the environment and the energetics of what was happening around me and in my space. And through societal conditioning, familial conditioning, all of these things, through the experiences I had in my own childhood in school, being bullied for being sensitive, all of these things taught me to actually disconnect from my intuitive ability to read energy in my space. And it was through a few experiences within my own life, and almost like a dark night of the soul, in which I woke back up to my potential to read energy. And we can all tap into this. We all have the ability to feel into the energetic environment around us. And in fact, we do that on a day-to-day basis. And I tend to say to people, when you walk into a room, sometimes when we go somewhere, you're like, oh God, there's a weird vibe in here. That's you reading the energy of the space. Sometimes when you go to very sad places where there's a lot of trauma, the land holds the energy and you're feeling the energy in that space as the weight of sadness. And I've heard a lot of people talk about this when they go to places like Auschwitz and various different locations around the world that have an energetic memory within the land, within the surroundings of the trauma that happened there. Because if you think about it, if everything is energy, even land holds energy. Even land holds energy. Houses hold energy. People hold energy. So another example would be when you meet someone, and when you meet someone and the light shines out of their heart, the light shines out of their eyes, and you are like, they are a gift to be around. The light is shining out of them. You are reading their energy. You're reading that beautiful light that they hold. Caroline Myss said this so well. We are like energetic bankers. And we need to actually think to ourselves, every time that we give some of our energy away, does it get returned with interest? Because if you're giving your energy away to people, places, environments that are literally just draining you of your energy, you will get to the point where the energy is being drained down to the cellular level of your being. And that's going to cause physical disturbance. And as someone that's highly perceptive to energy, I can tap into that. I can see where there's stagnancies within the body. I can see where the energy isn't flowing quite right within the body. And this is what gives me the information that I need to know about what's actually hindering someone's healing. Because energy is healing when it flows freely throughout the body. So when we come into this world, the energy flows beautifully through us like a stream. And as we go through life and we experience trauma, we experience whether that's a big trauma or whether it's a series of little traumas, even how someone speaks to us on the day to day, it's almost like a little pebble, or it could be a boulder, is getting dropped into this beautiful flow of energy which exists within our physical body. And, all these little pebbles plop it into the water one by one, and even the big boulders that get dropped in, that obstructs the flow of energy through the body. So you end up with little kind of pools of stagnant energy because the water can't flow in and wash away what that boulder, those pebbles are blocking. And some people have had so much trauma in their life, they come into me and it's actually like there's dams that have been built in their energetic system, and the energy is actually completely disconnected. So some people come through, and if they've had deep wounding in certain areas of their energetic field, the energy isn't rising through their body anymore. The rest of their body becomes disconnected. And this is really, really important because when we lean into the energy of how it's flowing through the body, and we can identify where there's a block, where there's a stagnancy, we can clear that by going back and addressing the root cause to that energetic disturbance. Now, I really want to touch in to a belief system that's existed for tens of thousands of years. And the Hindus believe that there's actually a series of chakras within the body, and the shaman work with this as well. And within the Hindu tradition and within the shamanic traditions, we believe that there's 7 energy centers that run through the body. And these are the primary centers in which energy is activated. It flows to organs and glands linked to this specific energy center. So if the dam or the blockage occurs at the site of one of these chakras, obviously all the organs and the glands linked to that chakra, the energy is not going to be flowing to those. So we'll get physical disturbance in those spaces. And this is something that I see time and time and time again. It's actually fascinating how it all links. Because in fact, the physical body, the mental body, and the emotional body all feed in to the energetic body. Everything is linked in our system. Absolutely everything. So what I tend to do is go back to the chakras, which if we actually visualize them, or if we're reading about them, they're described as these kind of spinning energetic discs, almost like vortexes or portals within the energetic structure of the body. And they sit in certain places that run down the central line of the body. And it's believed that these vortexes or discs radiate out the front of the body and the back of the body. And the tips at the front and the back link into the central canal, the spinal cord, which informs the neuroendocrine system within the body. The neuro I refer to as the nervous system, and endocrine is how all your hormones, the cascade of all the hormones go through the body. So it's really important. Energy is linked to the nervous system and the endocrine system, as well as all of the organs within the body and the glands. Now, one thing I will say to you is every cell has an effect on the whole. So each cell has an energetic memory, every cell in the body. So if we have specific cells that are holding trauma, especially if they're those special cells that produce other cells, they're going to be producing cells that have trauma in the cell. So if we can go back to the root cause and heal that and clear the energy on a cellular level, we then will move forward with producing cells within the body that actually they're vibrating at a different frequency. They're not holding the trauma anymore. And we can evolve and move beyond the energetic memory of the experiences that we had. We don't have to identify on a mental, emotional, energetic level with that anymore. And that will ultimately save our physical body at the end of the day. So I'm going to bring you now on a journey through the chakras. And what I'd really love to do is teach you through meditation practice how to identify which of your chakras maybe is holding a bit of stagnant energy or is not functioning as it should. So, as we move through the chakras, I want you to actually just take your time to sit down on your bum and sitting on your little sit bones in the seat. I want you to tune in to the space we call the perineum. So, squeezing up the muscles, the pelvic floor muscles. So just imagine that you were going to have a pee and you wanted to stop yourself midstream. That space where you're feeling the tension, that is the root chakra. That is our chakra that connects us to the earth. Now, keeping in mind that everything is energetically linked. The earth is a source of energy. It's a source of our connection to this beautiful divine feminine energy that comes from the earth. Everything is connected. We are all nature's beings. And I think humans have evolved because we have a higher power of thinking to think that we actually govern all of these other things. But in fact, we are just a cog within the grand scheme of nature. We are no better than any other living being that's out there connected to the land. But in fact, we are more disconnected from the land than any other living being. And it is crazy to think that we are greater than a lot of this other energy that exists around us. And unfortunately, through our journey with technology and all of these things, we are becoming more and more disconnected from this beautiful natural connection to the earth, to Gaia, to Mother Earth. And as we become more disconnected, obviously that flow of life force energy through the body actually diminishes. And oftentimes, some sessions I have with people, I'm like, get yourself out in nature, take your shoes off, actually connect to the earth, connect to the ground, feel the energy of Mother Earth beneath your feet. And that's so important because it helps us to ground our energy down, but also to recharge as well. Like going back to basics, connection to nature is huge on an energetic level. When we actually tune into that space, that root chakra, the color or the vibration that's linked with that is the color red. And it's within that, it's linked to emotional safety, security, and our home life. Generally, wounding within the root chakra occurs within the first 7 years of our life. So, any wounding that happened within the familial unit, our tribe, how do we identify with our tribe? What does that look like for you? That tends to manifest if we've any issues in that space within the home life, within the tribe life, within the root chakra. And oftentimes, this is the one of the main energy centers that I feel is disturbed in most people coming through because a lot of us do have wounding within our familial unit, our tribe. And, I look at the root chakra like the bottom of the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. It's linked to, having a roof over your head, having income financially, and things like sex. These are the basics of how humans live. But a lot of the energy of that is wrapped up in this root chakra. And when we're wounding within that space, it can impact our sense of safety and security. Then what we do is we move up to just below the belly button, about 2 finger breadths below the belly button. So it's kind of clenching the lower abdominal muscles there. That's the sacral chakra. That's orange in color. And that is linked to our relational life. So it's interesting because when we have trauma within our relational life, so whether that's romantic or whether it's our personal relationships, our friendships, when there's wounding within that space, we find that we have a trauma and disturbance within our relational lives. Now, the sacral chakra is linked to the ages of between 7 and 14. It's when we kind of go into puberty, and it's often linked in with sexual organs like the womb and the prostate, things like this. And when it's unsurprising that when we go through the trauma, the trials and tribulations of our entering into the puberty space and the hormonal cascades, everything arises and we begin getting kind of romantic or sexual feelings through our teenage life. It can be super tricky to navigate, you know? But it's really, really interesting because a lot of things that issues that manifest, and I tend to see it a lot within the womb space for women, is a lot of trauma that's held within the sacral chakra, within our relational center, a lot of issues with the lower back. But you have to keep in mind that, like I said, every cell has an effect on the whole. We can't look at each chakra on an individual level. If we have blocks in the root chakra, that's going to be impacting the flow of the energy up to the sacral chakra. So disturbances within our root chakra and our familial upbringing is going to impact our relational life with how we relate to other people in a romantic setting, in a friendship setting. So, everything is linked and the flow of energy to each of these spaces is linked. So moving up now to just below the ribs, there's a little bony point where the ribs meet. That's called the xiphisternum. And just below that center, that is the solar plexus. And this is a really fascinating space that I tend to see a lot of wounding in, especially with the rise in social media, people comparing themselves continuously to other people, because this is our center for self. This is how we relate to self, how we feel we show up in relation to the rest of the world. And because now social media is in such a space of comparison, we never feel like we're good enough. I see so much wounding in this space. It's almost like you go out and you take the daggers and you drive them in yourself to wound yourself in this space, because our narrative, think about what I was saying about the mental and emotional processing. Our narrative most of the time for many people is that we're not good enough. We don't do this the same as they do that. I don't look as good as them. They're doing a better job of this than I am. So we have the wounding deep within the solar plexus. So it's really interesting because when people come through to me and they have reflux, when they have gut disturbances, I'm starting to think to myself, well, what's going on with your relation to self? And what's going on in the lower energy center if you have things like constipation that are lower down in the bowel? How does that relate to relational life within the sacral chakra? And oftentimes when people feel very, very impacted by their own world and how they're being viewed or perceived to be viewed by others, it causes a lot of gut disturbance. So we can go on a journey with this of, taking probiotics, looking at gut health, but until we actually heal our relationship to self and relationship to others, we only can do so much through food and supplements. Now, the solar plexus is yellow in color. So as we move up red, orange, yellow, you can begin to bring light that vibrates at that frequency of the color into each of those spaces. So let's move up then into the heart space. So the heart space, that's the heart chakra. That color is green. And this is an absolutely magical space. It's a magical space because our capacity to love and put love first and foremost will transform our lives. But however, that is blocked. That's blocked oftentimes by a stagnancy or a block of energy flowing freely within that area. And it's interesting because a lot of us don't truly love ourselves. And that causes issues in the flow of energy within the heart space. How we view ourselves is the first and foremost relationship before we can generate and cultivate the love that we can share and radiate outwards. I often tend to find that wounding within the heart chakra, brokenheartedness, that manifests in the chest. But also within the lung space, I tend to find a lot of people hold grief within the lung space because oftentimes when they go through a period of heartbreak, through maybe that's loss of someone that's passed on back to the spirit world, or maybe it's through relationship breakdown or various other life circumstances. It's almost like there's a broken hearted energy within the heart chakra, and the grief radiates across the chest. So, heaviness in the chest, palpitations, all of these things, I'm starting to think, well, what's happening within the heart space? How's the heart being held within the body? You know? So, it's really important to tune into that energy because many of us hold wounding within that space. Again, with how we show up in society, our view of ourself has declined. Our view and our love for self probably isn't at its optimal. So as we move from the heart space, which is the center in which we can transmute or change heavy energy into light and spread it around the world, spread it around our friendship groups, into the universe, it's so, so special. We move up then into the throat chakra. The throat chakra is blue in its color vibration. And this is a really interesting center because it's linked, like I said, to our willpower, but how we speak our truth. And can I ask you a question now? Do you honestly and truly, hand on your heart and throat chakra, can you say to me that you speak your truth with love and compassion that is authentic to you? Because I can guarantee you, I don't always speak my truth. Actually, for a very, very long time, I never spoke my truth. I showed up in a way that I felt pleased other people. And that's just a perception of what I felt other people needed. And you have to keep in mind as well that when we do that, it's almost like we are disempowering other people. Because essentially what we're doing is we're controlling the outcome of a situation based on our limited beliefs about what someone else might need. So it gives us a sense of safety and security because we can predict the outcome. So that's why I didn't speak my truth for a long time, because I felt safe without conflict. I felt safe in sugarcoating things, and I felt safe in avoiding deep conversation and vulnerability that would lead to me being exposed, lead to my heart being exposed. So when I began to heal that energy center for myself, it's funny, my willpower completely changed. I could show up to the gym better. I could go for my meditations daily. I could eat my healthy foods because actually I had a stronger sense of willpower. My boundaries were much, much better because I could speak my truth, not from a wounded space. I spoke it from a place of compassion in which I honored myself, but I also honored the other person for where they were at in their wounding. It didn't need to be an explosive conversation. It didn't need to come out like the fire dragon. But I also didn't need to become completely mute and not say anything. So this is a really, really important center to really pay attention to. Are you speaking your truth? Are you doing it from a place of love and compassion that honors you on the journey, but also honors the other place for in which they hold their wounding? So as we move up to the third eye chakra, it's just in the center of the brow. Center of the brow, just between the eyebrows. That's our third eye. That color is a beautiful violet or indigo type of color. And it's linked to our intuition, our seeing with beyond the veil. It's our ability to see beyond the physical world or the reality around us. It's actually tuning into a higher vibrational frequency, to our higher sense of self in loads of ways, giving us messages. And sometimes when people are meditating a lot, or a lot of people I often find say, God, it's like someone had their thumb on the center of my head. I felt this crazy pressure on the center of my head. And I was like, yeah, that is literally the energy coming so strongly in through your third eye that you're feeling pressure in that space because your intuition is literally like, I'm telling you, listen. Now, this is an amazing energy center to be able to touch base with your intuition and your higher knowing. And this is also linked in to the crown chakra. And the crown chakra is at the top of the head, and that's white in color. And that connects us to source energy, to the divine space. And that's where we receive a lot of our information, our downloads from our higher self, from our guides, if you're tuned into those energies. And basically, these two gorgeous energies will help to guide you on the path that is in alignment with your soul's purpose, your destiny. Now, oftentimes, these are the two chakras that are actually quite shut down for people because we're not connected to our intuition. We're not connected to our higher sense of knowing because we live with a very busy brain, because that's what society is these days. We're constantly checking our phone, visual stimulation, emails, like telly, all of the world around us is so fast and so active. It's disconnected us from our sense of intuition and our connection to our higher knowing. And unfortunately, we have now kind of pulled the energy up through the body, which largely exists for many people in a chaotic haze within the headspace. And that in itself disconnects us from the feeling and the energy within the rest of the body. So they are the seven main chakras, and they're the main emotional and mental processes that are linked to each of those chakras. But within each of those chakras, there is the distribution of the energy out to the organs. I just wanted to highlight a little example with regard to the solar plexus, because that feeds the liver. I tend to feel a lot of anger that people hold in the fascia of the liver. The spleen, the gut, 70% of our immune system is in our gut. If you've wounding within the solar plexus, I often tend to find that the gut is getting hit, but also the immune system as well. Are you constantly sick? And the pancreas, so type 2 diabetes, type 1 diabetes, all of these things linked into this space, how we regulate glucose and insulin. It's often linked to our sense of responsibility about the pressure we put on ourselves to show up for others and not show up for ourselves. So I think this might resonate quite deeply with a lot of people because this center, our relationship to self, is so important. And our responsibility should actually be with our own self. Because when we heal the wounds within the chakras, within our energy center, within our mental and emotional bodies, we can prevent physical disease from manifesting. But also, when we heal those wounds, we can shine and help others to heal their wounds. We lead by energetic example. So, what I'm going to do is, because people often ask me, how do I identify where my blocks are? And I love to bring them on this guided meditation because oftentimes when we come out of the head, this busy mind that's constantly being affected by the energy around us, and come back into the body, we can then identify actually where our energetic blocks are. And each of us has the intuition to be able to do this. Each of us has the knowing within our own body and our energetic system to identify where our blocks are. And by bringing people on this little meditative journey, you'll be able to tune into your blocks. And then once you know where the blocks are, you can begin asking the body, well, that center is linked to familial life. Do I have wounds within my familial upbringing, within my familial life or present that actually need to be looked at and maybe healed? It reveals to us the locations in which we need to tend to the shadows. So I'm going to bring you on this little journey just for a couple of minutes through the chakra system. So make sure that you're in a space where you can actually sit or lie down for this. And I'm going to walk you through this meditation. And what I would love for you to identify in your body is, does something feel tingly when I bring your attention to that space? Does it feel numb? Is there a heaviness? Is there burning? What type of sensation is going on for you there? Sometimes there's a fullness in that space, but sometimes you actually can't feel it at all. That would suggest to me that there's some deep energetic debris within that space that's preventing the energy from flowing there. So you'll get a feel for that as you move through each of the chakras in the body, and you'll be able to identify which chakra is causing some disturbance. So just coming into the body, I want you to scan down just from the crown, bring your attention to the crown, down through the forehead, the eyes, the ears, the throat, the chest, relaxing the shoulders, Allow your arms to become really heavy. Allowing your chest to sink in to the back of the seat or the place that you're lying. Allowing your tummy muscles to completely relax. Relaxing every single little muscle in the tummy. Relaxing the hips, really relaxing the hips into wherever you're sitting or lying. And going back up to the crown, I want you to imagine that every little vertebrae in your spine is relaxing one by one. Sinking into the bed, into the seat. Moving down from the base of the skull, through the neck, down through the back, between the relaxed shoulder blades, the middle of the back, and all the muscles are relaxing around each of the beautiful vertebrae as it goes down. Down into the lower back. And as it joins with the pelvis, allow the pelvis to completely relax. Bringing your attention to the thighs, really allowing the thighs to relax. The hamstrings. Allow the muscles in your bum to relax. Feeling the weight of the legs really, really settle into the seat or the bed. Relaxing the knees, the calves, the shins, the feet. Feel the weight of the soles of the feet on the floor or the heels on the bed. And I want you to now just bring your attention to the base of the spine. And I want you to imagine that these beautiful little light tendrils, these little roots of light, are moving down from the base of the spine, through the thighs, through the knees, through the lower legs, through the feet. The little tendrils of light are moving down through the earth, almost like they're forming little roots of light connected to your very being. And the roots are going deep and they're going wide in the earth, connected to Mother Earth. Allow those beautiful tendrils of light, those roots, to go deep down into the earth. Moving down to the center of the earth, connecting with the womb of the earth, the womb of Mother Earth. Connecting with the light in that space, the warmth, the heat that womb space offers. It's time to call that power from the earth back to us now. Calling the power and the light and the heat and the vitality back to our bodies. Allow the light begin moving from the center, the womb of the earth, up through these tendrils of light, these roots that connect to your body. Imagine the light moving back through the roots, feeling the warmth and the heat as the light moves in through the feet. And as the light moves into the body, imagine every little cell that the light touches is transformed. The darkness and the shadows in each cell is completely changed and transmuted into light, with the most magical, divine healing potential. Allow the light to move through the toes, the toenails. Allow it to move through the feet, connecting with the bones, healing the wounds of the ancestors we hold in the bones, the skeleton. Healing the blood, the lymphatic system, the nervous system. Healing all of it as it moves through the feet, over the heels, up into the ankles. Imagine any binding in the ankles, any stagnancy that prevents you from taking the step forward that you need. Imagine that light dissolves away any energy in that space. Any energy that's holding you back from taking the next steps on your journey to fulfill your destiny. Allow the light to move up through the shins, through the calves. Feel the light moving through the calves. Allow the light to move up into the knees, moving up into the knees. And just feel power come into your knees, your ability to stand on your own 2 feet, your ability and your strength to show up for yourself, to stand your ground, to show up in this world as an independent force. You have the strength to be your biggest fan. You have the strength to be your biggest supporter. Stand tall as the energy moves through the knees, moving up through the legs, the upper legs, the thighs, the hamstrings, the glutes. Allow the light to move into the base of the spine, just gently squeezing those pelvic floor muscles again. As the light floods into this space, I want you to imagine the most brilliant orb of red light forming in that space, activating and cleansing the root chakra, clearing and cleansing the root chakra. Allow the light to cleanse and clear the root chakra. Just feeling what it feels like in this space. What does it feel like in that space? Allow the light to grow as big and bright as you can imagine. It's almost like the light filtering in from Mother Earth is feeding this beautiful red energy. Linked to our sense of security, sense of safety. Any fear that we hold radiates oftentimes from this space. Our sense of scarcity, our sense of shame, often held in this space. Bringing your attention even to your familial unit. What does your tribe feel like, your relationship to your tribe? Often linked as well to the testes, to the ovaries, to our external genitalia, the vulva, the penis, the testes, scrotum. Any disturbances in these spaces, hemorrhoids, fissures in the back passage. Calling the light now up to just below the belly button. Calling the light into that space. Entering into the sacral chakra, igniting the most beautiful orange light. The most magnificent orange light. Call the energy into that space. Allow the light to completely transform the space. Allow that orange light to grow as bright as it possibly can. Tuning into what it feels like in this space. Our relational center. Our relational center. Do you carry any wounding linked to romantic relationships, platonic relationships? Wounding in the womb space, in the bladder, the lower parts of the bowel. Offer healing to those things now, offering light to those things. Now calling the light up through the tummy. Allow the light to move through all of the bowels in the tummy. Allow the light to radiate through the tummy, healing any emotion trapped in the tummy. Calling the light up into the solar plexus, just below where the ribs meet, activating the most brilliant yellow energy. A big orb of yellow light like the sun radiating from that space. Connecting with our sense of self. Is there any anger there? Is there any sadness? Is there any resentment? Is there a sense of responsibility to others that takes you away from yourself? Do you not take responsibility for your own self? Feeling into the energy in that space. It's linked to our stomach, the upper part of our digestive system that exists within the abdomen. Linked to our liver, our spleen, our pancreas. All really important organs in the body. Offering healing now to that space. Allow the light to offer healing to those organs, to those motions. Calling the light up now into the chest. Taking a big deep breath in through the nose, pull the light from the center of the earth into every little space that's in the chest. Imagine every little sac that can hold air in the lungs filling with the light. Imagine the whole heart fill with light. Imagine your chest radiating the most perfect green energy. What energy are you holding in the heart space on the lungs? Is there heartbreak that still needs to be tended to? Is there grief about something that's lost or that you've left behind on your journey to the new version of yourself that needs to be grieved? Allow the light, the beautiful green light, to radiate off your chest. Offering healing to the heart. Offering healing to the lungs. To the thymus gland that's linked to the immune function. Allow that light to radiate off the chest. Allow the light to flood up over the shoulders, lifting the weight of the world off your shoulders. Allow the light to flood down your arms. As it washes over the left side, start to think to yourself, is there any wounding I have with my mother? Any wounding with the women in my life? Are there any blocks in the energy as it moves through the left arm that's associated with receiving, with our intuition, with our creativity, with our divine feminine energy, the softness, the playfulness? As the energy washes over the right side of the body, through the right shoulder, down the right arm, is there any wounding that we hold with our father, our paternal lineage? Does it flow freely down the right arm? That's how we reach out and grasp our heart's desires. The action of doing. Do we overgive? Is the energy in balance between receiving on the left and giving on the right? Feel into what the distribution of energy feels like. Do we overdo things? Are we always busy, not giving ourselves enough time to receive? Calling the light up into the throat space now. The most brilliant blue light, allow it to radiate out of the throat. Looking at our relationship to how we speak. Oftentimes we hold everything completely within our internal environment, and something will trigger us. The energy will come out like a volcano. Are we in balance with how we communicate? Do we communicate everything authentically? Do we do it with love and compassion? What is our willpower like? Allow the blue light to offer healing to that space, to the thyroid gland, to the parathyroid glands that regulate our calcium in the body. Our throat, do we suffer from regular sore throats? Our tonsils, our adenoids, all linked to our immune function. We suffer from reflux. Energy rising up from the solar plexus into the throat, perhaps. Allow the energy to move up through the head, moving through the mouth, bringing softness and sweetness to how we communicate. Let the honey drip off the tongue. Moving up through the nose, through the sinus passages. Bring light to the sinus passages. We often hold a lot of energy of anger with ourselves, with sinus issues. Are we very angry with ourselves? Allow the light to come out the ears. Are we listening to our higher self for guidance? Are we listening to our body? Are we listening to our intuition? Allow the light to come out the eyes. Are we seeing the path ahead of us? Do we see ourselves every day? Do we see ourselves? Do we hear ourselves? Allow the light to flood in to the third eye, radiating the most beautiful purple indigo light, radiating that light out, awakening your intuition, allowing you to see beyond the veils of reality, connecting deeply with your higher knowing. Calling the light up through the crown of the head, allowing the most brilliant white light to form at the crown of the head and allow the energy to radiate up through the crown, connecting it to source energy. Pulling the light from the center of the earth through the body, out through the crown and up into the light, up into the divine space. You are connected below and you're connected above. The most perfect channel and pathway to clear and cleanse energy through the body. Clearing and cleansing all energy that's not in alignment with your highest good. Clearing and cleansing all energy that is not in alignment with your divine purpose. Just allowing that beautiful peace to wash over the body as the light fills every part of your energy field. So I want you to begin to come back into the physical body with that new energy. Wiggling your fingers and toes. And just gently moving, giving yourself a little hug if you need. And coming back into the space. And I'd really encourage you now, after that lovely meditation, to write down what you felt in each of those energy centers and what each of those energy centers are linked to. And just do some journaling with regard to what lessons you learned from tuning into the body and potentially what wounds were being held in each of those centers that need to be addressed. So just take this time to be gentle with yourself. From my heart to yours, see you next time, Dr. Anthony.